Welcome back to the IHSN Roundtable live from El Rey as we are getting ready to talk to Johnny West and to Derek Boshears, the head coaches, co-head coaches.
We've never spent time to hash it out. Just go with it.
All right. Before we get into that, let me real quickly throw out the trivia question again because we've had some guesses. We have not had a correct guess as predicted. Rick Keaton knows the answer, but Rick Keaton is not eligible. The question is, as Scott High prepares to crown its 52nd homecoming queen on Friday night, who was the first ever football homecoming queen at Scott High School? That would have been back in 1971. And if you know the answer, text us at 539-4616. Johnny West, head coach of Robbins. Derek Boshears, head coach of Fairview. But circumstances happen, and now you guys are coaching together. What do you call yourselves?
Well, we wear Sky High jerseys.
Okay.
So they're all going there anyway, so we figure we might as well go ahead and just put Sky High jerseys.
They're all going there.
We've heard a little bit of everything.
Making that commitment.
We're making as much as I can, yes.
Well, guys,
yes.
Thank you for joining us, and I'm going to invite Rick and Kevin to jump in here at any point that they want to. But first, I just got to ask, because if you go back a month ago, there was a possibility that Robbins might not be able to have a football team, and there was a possibility that Fairview might not be able to have a football team because of low numbers. And you guys were able to pull this thing together, and the kids come together and now play as one team. So just tell us how that came about.
No, we just kept talking, everybody. We had about 16. Derek had 13 at the time. He's dropped to one. And, man, with numbers like that, it just makes it rough. And we've talked about before, maybe if we don't have a team, like I'd go help him, or if he didn't have one, he'd come help us. So we're just friends. It's worked out. And the kids are getting to play, and that's the number one thing. And the kids are enjoying it. They love it every day. We don't have any kids missing. There was never – like, this is Fairview, this is Robbins. They just joined in, and, I mean, you come to practice, they're just there every day and having fun.
Yeah, it's a deal of where Fairview wasn't going to have a team. I mean, we were down to 12 kids, and you're just not going to make it through a whole year with 12 kids. That's what I'm at right now. So it was either combined with somebody or something, or just those kids were going to miss a year of football, and I hate to see kids miss a year. So this has worked about as good as it can. We're a little bit behind. There was no scrimmages, no spring. We've played 2 games because our schedule was kind of wonky with all that, but we're getting better every day, and we've got a potential to be a really good football team, but we're not right now. We're way behind.
Well, I want to commend anybody and everybody who was involved in making it happen, because it would have been easy for Robbins to say, Robbins is the second oldest middle school football team in the county behind Huntsville. It would have been easy to say, we're Robbins and we don't need any help. It would have been easy for Fairview to say, no, we're not going to go play with them. We want to be our own thing. It would have been devastating, I think, for that Scott High program for those 8th graders that are going to be up there next year to miss a year. So I commend everybody that was involved in making it happen to where the kids get to play.
Right. Because if you look at the Sky High team, a lot of kids are Fairview and Robbins kids. I mean, we have year after year sent kids to play. We really have.
I mean, we got 3 kids tonight here from Robbins, even one from 09, and I got Player of the Week.
So that was our big thing, the pipeline. And we're trying to get to a point, maybe – sometimes we're behind because we have 5 middle schools that fight against each other sometimes. Maybe this is a little bridge to our kids where they're a little happier with each other right now. It's been as good with our kids as it could be because, we were kind of worried at first. Is it going to be a bunch of Fairview kids in one corner? But, man, it's been really good. This is the most fun my kids have had in football in my last 5 or 6 years that I can remember.
Like, just what you can do at practice and scheme-wise. I mean, you're not running, 3 plays because you can't, have enough depth and all that stuff. We're getting to open it up, and I think it'll help. I think the other night we had, about 220 yards passing. Yeah. Just getting to, 5 different receivers caught a ball, stuff like that. I mean, we get to do a lot of different stuff, and it's fun at practice. You get to do some 11-on-11, some 7-on-7 stuff. It's just not a grind all the time.
Let me ask you, this is not a Robbins issue, and it's not a Fairview issue. This is across the board, and I think from what Kevin Akers was telling me earlier, it's not even just a Scott County issue. It's outside Scott County as well. I think Rick was telling me Huntsville's got something like 18 kids. I would have never imagined that Huntsville would be that low. I drove by Birchfield on my way up here tonight and saw them. That's the first time I saw them, and they were practicing. I was amazed how few they had.
Early in the year, I don't know what they're at now. They were in the low mid-20s.
So everybody's struggling. What is it?
It's just
what are you guys competing against?
And I think it's COVID. I mean, you had those years, the middle school years, they had that year off, and it's just, you see so many more kids out of shape, and it's hard to get those sort of tweener kids that might come out. Like your skill guys that are sort of athletic, they come out real good, but now your lineman type, they sort of have got there, and instead of maybe being, 160 pounds, they weigh 220 pounds, and it's a little harder.
I mean, you're competing with iPads and Xboxes. I mean, we didn't have that stuff when I was growing up. You know, I mean, it's hard to get kids to want to play football right now. It's hard. I mean, it's hard to play football. Everybody understands this has done it. You know, it's a grind every day. And
unless you're Jason Terry and you've got the luxury of having about 55 kids.
Unless you're Jason Terry, yes.
And it's just a numbers game right now. I know from like when we won our region or state, whatever you want to call it, we had like 104 kids in the school. Like we have 82 right now in middle school that can even play football. So we've lost all those.
Yeah, I think Fairview's down to like. When my brother went to school there was around 500 kids at that school, and there's 250 in the whole school. I think it was 88, 628 right now. So.
And then, I mean, that's something that we're going to have to address. And, I mean, I don't know how they're going to do it. But I'd say for the next few years, I'd like to keep this going just because the kids are having so much fun. You're not just fighting to have 11. Like, you can have a team.
Well, one thing I'd like to jump in real quick. You know, you talked about earlier about sometimes, you know, when you get to Scott High, you got 5 middle schools coming in. I think this is going to be a great help because it's going to get you a leg up on that part of them playing together in that camaraderie when they get to high school.
I mean, I've always felt that way, but, I mean, that's not my decision, obviously. But, yes, I think that it could really help the high school program. I mean, one, we can start putting in high school terminology and stuff, and you can get a lot more in-depth with all that stuff, get with Coach Harris and all that. So I think it could help, yes.
Combining the two programs created some logistical problems.
Yes.
It is not – I mean, you do not practice at Robbins. You do not practice at Fairview.
We practice at Robbins.
That's
Everybody's
Robbins,
been
okay.
great with this. They get on a Boys and Girls Club bus from Fairview. They go to Scott High. They're at Robbins by 3:20.
Wow, that's great.
I mean, as far as being
what it is.
smooth, this thing is.
That was the easiest thing for us to do with the Boys and Girls Club bus, going to Sky High and then to Robbins without having kids bring pads back and forth.
Yeah, we was willing to go get them and stuff like that. By the time we would go to training to get a bus,
Yeah,
certified and all that.
For the first week, we were driving 13, 14 kids back and forth from Fairview, which I'm good with that. We were doing whatever we had to do.
But, I mean, they've been a week ago, which whatever. I mean, we didn't have time, but like time's our biggest thing. We didn't get a spring. I mean, we was 2 weeks into the school year before, like, we even got the green light to do this, and it's just been all hands on deck, and I think it's worked pretty well.
Schedules, too, have been hard because you'd already scheduled. Fairview had a schedule. Robbins had a schedule. Everybody had a schedule. And now suddenly, you know,
right in that first week, we
which
get a
schedule
COVID.
do you follow? I mean,
Well, we went Robbins' schedule, so right off the bat, you lose the Robbins Fairview game because we're on there. Then Winfield cancels with us, and we're already behind, you know, game-wise. We've called pretty much everybody in the state trying to find a game. We called Meigs County, Rockwood. We've got it, and everybody's full. So we're just kind of, maybe somebody drops, we can find another game here in the next little bit. McQuarrie County called earlier today, but the time didn't work out.
We're full on this end of the –
Yeah.
But, I mean, if somebody will give us the green light, that way we can just plan this out. Like, I really think it'll get going. I mean, there's some people talking about maybe just having one middle school team in the county. So, but that's not our decision.
Okay, so since you brought it up,
Right.
and we had not talked about this before we came on, and I know it is a controversial subject with some folks, but I did want to ask you guys, because you guys are both coaches, and you've been doing this for a long time at Fairview and at Robbins. But there's always been that talk. How much could Scott High benefit if there was a consolidated middle school program? We already do it with baseball and softball. Right. If it ever wanted to be done, it seems like now would be the time to kind of move in that direction with the numbers being low, and you guys are proving that it can work. What would be your thoughts on that?
It depends on how it's done. I mean, it could be anything, like anything in life. It could be bad or good. Like, but if we'll plan it out and we actually, like, get everybody on the same page – and, like, have a plan, because with football, like baseball, they just come with a bag. We got to have, like, a field house. We need weight room. If it's, like, a place to play, do we go to Sky High and stuff like that? But I think it could work.
Yeah, I'd be all for it. You know, like I said, maybe it helps your high school program. If it helps a little bit, that's enough. You know, I've talked to Charles Golden, and they seem like they would be for it. So if they think it could help, I'd be –
yeah.
To me, it would be a perfect situation.
And it's perfect time because, I mean, nobody wants to see Huntsville struggling with 20 kids, Birchfield and everybody like that. Everybody's used to maybe us at Robbins and Winfield having low numbers, but, I mean, when Fairview and everybody else is getting down, it makes people, I mean, they're just not happy with that.
Mm-hmm. To me, one of the biggest drawbacks would be right now when you got 5 middle school programs, then on any given play, you've got 55 kids on the field, whereas obviously with one consolidated program, you've got 11 kids on the field, and so a lot less opportunities for participation there. But for those kids that are going to go on and play at that next level, at the high school level, there are benefits there as well.
Well, that's always been the argument, was how many kids could play. But I firmly believe you could have a legit, just a sixth grade team, a legit JV team.
Right.
All these kids are getting reps all the time. Like right now, I think a lot of our sixth graders are apprehensive to come out and play football because if they come out of Fairview right now and you're in the sixth grade, you're going to have to play. You're going to have to step on the field, ready or not. You're going to have to play. You know, I mean, that's scary for some sixth graders. 12-year-old, 11-year-old kid playing against a 15-year-old.
We had a few kids come out once they heard Fairview was coming, just because those sixth graders knew, hey, I'm not going to be thrown in there in the grinder. I can just sort of learn and stand around a year and have some fun. I mean, it takes a special kid in sixth grade to be going against like 13, 14-year-olds when they're 11.
So you guys envision something where you could potentially have basically an eighth grade varsity team, and then a JV team, and then a true sixth grade team. So you'd really have 3 teams within that one program.
Within the one program.
And if you plan it right, you could have, like, I know Campbell County does a lot of elementary sports. You could still have Robbins, Huntsville, but it might be at the 4th and 5th grade level. Because, well, I mean, we already got all the stadiums. We got all the field houses. So why not just have a 4th and 5th grade instead of, like, Storm getting that age? Maybe the county keeps it. And they're not traveling out. So you could still get your teams that way.
But like I said, with all 5 schools, I think you get enough sixth graders where you just have a legit sixth grade team.
Right.
And that would be so much better for them right now as far as reps. Because, I mean, a lot of those kids are just not ready to play varsity. They're just not.
Another issue that I was asking Rick and Harris Friday night, because obviously it was before my time, but when Scott High opened in 1971, what was the feeling like at Huntsville to have to give up because there was so much tradition and so much history there, and it would be kind of the same thing with middle school, because Huntsville's had a middle school program for a long time. Robbins has had a middle school program for a long time. Fairview and Birchfield's relatively new, but even at that, they both started my 6th grade year, which would have been, I don't even want to think about it. It would have been about 31 years ago. So, I mean, that's a long time, and having to give that up, would you foresee that being an issue, or maybe not see it?
I know a lot of people would be upset with it because I think a lot of our people
Sometimes that's the high point of their career. Like, you know what I'm talking about?
That, and it's your community.
It's a
You know,
it's a
the
community
Fairview
thing.
kids
Yeah.
are from Fairview. You know, it's a community thing. So I think a lot of times they get behind that more than they do the high school. You know, I mean, they identify as more Fairview than Sky High. You know, I mean, I feel like that would be the uphill battle that you're fighting as far as that, because they identify as the place they live. You know,
Right.
But the flip side of that is, I go back, David Gillum was at Scott High about, I guess, 2008, and I was talking to him, and he said, you know, I do this experiment in my classroom, and he said, I'll go around and ask him, who's your favorite team? And this kid would say it's the Kansas City Chiefs, and this kid would say that it's, you know, the Miami Dolphins. But then I got this kid over here that says my favorite team is the Huntsville Bears. And he said we can't get by that middle school thing when we get to high school, and that's one of the main things that holds us back at the high school level. That's always stuck with me when he said that, because it really is true when you think about it.
It is, and even if they're not on the field as much, you got to think how that compounds at practice, because you're getting such a better look at practice. Like, you know, our 8th grader is normally going against a 6th grader. They're not getting any look at practice. And now it's 8th grader on 8th grader, so they're just going to be that much better time you do a whole season of that kind of competition. I mean, it just compounds.
I was practicing with 9 kids before we combined. I had a guard playing corner. You know, it was
A lot of
a
running.
rough life we had going on.
Talk about some of the kids that you got that are 8th graders that we're going to be seeing at the high school level next year.
We've got a running back that I think can be really special. He's pretty young. His name's Skylar Thomas, and he's legit. In open field, he's as good as I've seen in open field. He's small, big kid, and he's pretty young for an 8th grader, but now he's legit a really good football player. We had a quarterback that threw for about 200 yards.
Wayland's doing a good job.
Wayland threw for about 200 yards Thursday night.
We got some big linemen that are green that's never played that much, but time they get in the weight room and figure it out, it snaps for them. I mean, they're going to be pretty good. I mean, I think we got, about 16 8th graders?
Yeah,
I mean, if they can
16
keep 12 or 13 of those and then pick up some from Huntsville, I mean, the future looks bright.
We've got probably the best athlete I've ever coached is down there. If he ever figures football out, he'll be really hard to deal with. His name's Ashton Daugherty.
Yeah.
He's probably the best athlete I've ever had at middle school level. It's not all kind of came together yet for him, but now he's got the highest upside I've ever had a middle school kid, probably have.
Tall, fast, young. I mean, he's going to keep growing. I mean, if it ever clicks for him, I mean, he's probably a college player if it clicks.
He's really athletic.
Yeah.
Who do you have left on your schedule going forward?
We got Jellicoe tomorrow. If we win that one, I think we win the district, maybe have a chance for it. And then we got Birchfield and Summer at the end it.
So speaking of the district, since you guys combined, does that change which district you're in, or are you still in the same district?
No, still numbers-wise, we're still a single A team. We're around 160 kids combined, so that still left us single or whatever, but it left us on our same side as far as it's us, Birchfield, Huntsville, and Jellicoe on our side. But now, I mean, it doesn't bother me if we have to move up, if we can continue to combine or whatever we need to do.
Now, if we have one county school, we'll be 3A, so it'd be like Cherokee, Jacksboro, La Follette. But right now, I mean, 1A's got so many schools. I think we're, even combined with us and Fairview, we're what, about 160? It puts us about the 5th biggest school in 1A because we're two, besides Winfield, 2 small schools in 1A.
So how is your working relationship been? Not that I would expect either of you to throw off on the other one, but it's unique. But the only time that I've seen something like this, as far as two guys coaching together, maybe back in the day at Oneida when Jimmy May and Keith Henry were co-head coaches from 2001 or so to 2004. You guys have each run your own programs, and now you're kind of being thrown into the mix together. How are you guys working together? Philosophy-wise, are you the same?
Definitely not philosophy-wise. We're really not the same. As far as I hate defense, I hate linemen, and I hate defense. I just want to do offense. If he lets me do offense, I'm happy. You know, if we can throw the ball and I can do offense, we're happy. Now I'm just gonna be honest. This is probably the most fun I've had coaching in a long time. It's been really fun. We can do a lot more stuff. We probably threw as much Thursday night as most middle school teams did the whole year. Probably.
Yeah, I mean, we're not having to be so conservative. Before, you was just so afraid milking the clock. You didn't want to snap it before just because you got to shorten that game. You got 14, 15 players over there. You can't just be up-tempo. We can about do anything we want, especially in offense. Defensively, we was missing probably our second-best football player that hurt us up the middle. But, I mean, still, having an off night, they're still just having to grind out plays. I think, 8, 10-minute drive, have to run 14, 15 plays.
No, as far as us working together, it's been great. Like I said, I just want to do offense anyway, and I'm happy. As long as he leaves me alone down there and I can throw the ball a little bit, I'll be happy.
So you call the offensive plays, you call the defensive plays. That's what I'm getting at.
We work together. I mean, we don't see it that way. We're just wanting everybody to be as good as we can get.
Yeah,
there's no ego.
It's been fine. I'm used to working with people. I'm an assistant coach anyway, you know. I mean, as Jordan, I'm an assistant coach. I'm good with being in the
Really, we was
background.
doing the same thing before. It was just through text message and phone calls after practice or after a game, but now we're just in person and get to do it.
All right, guys, we thank you for joining us. Good luck tomorrow night against Jellicoe. We're going to take another break, and then when we come back, we'll switch gears a little bit and go from county middle school football to Oneida middle school football as we bring in Jason Terry.